Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for August 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out what's new on my blog, and look for all of the education opportunities that I have on there, from learning astrology to being a coach to bringing your business online, and so much more. So what's going on in this month of August that is truly all about Leo? That is the theme of my month the month for you, for me, for my perception here. We have Mars retrograde, we have Mars going direct at the end of the month, we have Mercury retrograde, Mercury going direct. Mercury is retrograde in Leo. We have a solar eclipse, the third eclipse in this cycle of eclipses, and that's a solar eclipse in Leo. We also have personal planets, including transiting North Node, still in Leo. So we have all of that going on, and besides that, we also have outer planet trines. Trines are the most favorable aspect in all of astrology, so that will be blessing all of the signs, and we'll talk in details about what that is, what that means, and why it's so great. Okay, so let's just take this piece by piece here. I am going to go more into the general transits later in this video, but first I'm going to talk about things specific for Leo. So the first thing on my list to talk about for you is birthdays. Birthdays are magical times of manifestation. The sun in the chart represents the things we want. All of the planets have their representation of things that they cover in our experience, and the sun represents desire. So when the sun in the sky gets to the same point in your chart that it was when you were born, which is your solar return, which is around your birthday, then you open this magical portal for your desires, which is where birthday wishes come from. Birthday wishes are astrological. So many things that we take for granted as just a normal thing that goes on are really astrologically based, and this is another example of that. So brilliant astrologer Jan Spiller tells us we have 10 birthday wishes, not just one. So you want to write down your wishes, say them out loud, and most importantly, feel them as if they have already come true. Our subconscious mind that is at the center of our creation cannot tell the difference between a visualization and reality. So the more we put it in a situation where we're doing what we want it to do, it's like a well-behaved dog. You know, we train it to bring certain outcomes into our lives, and visualization and the wishing can help to do that. So to further supercharge your birthday wishes, do a search for Making Wishes Come True Annie, and you will find my video on this topic that can help you to go deeper with this. Okay, so we have birthdays. Of course, when it's birthday time, we also have to mention what happens in the weeks before your birthday. Before your birthday, or for you all watching for your rising sign, if Leo is your rising sign or even your moon sign, the sun goes through the 12th house before it comes into the crossover the ascendant into the first house for the chart for your birthday or your rising sign or whatever goes on. So in the 4, even up to 6 weeks before your birthday, the sun lights up your 12th house, and your 12th house is your house of fears. It's your house of just kind of like the muck that's in between you and what you want. So we sometimes have to get a little bit more clear about what we don't want, and can feel a little funky in the weeks up, before your birthday. So not everyone will experience this, but I know I do. That's how I started to figure this out. I used to think it's like the reflection of, your birthday times passing, and you go through this weird thing every year, kind of like evaluating the year, etc. And yeah, that's part of it. But part of it is because you're having a spotlight put on the darkest part of your being, and that's not very comfortable a lot of the time. But you can use it very productively, and it is purposeful from the astrological perspective, because if we're focusing so much on manifestation for the birthday or the crossing over the sun, for the ascendant, what comes before that is getting clear on what you don't want, which helps you to get clear on what you do want. So this is all of what goes on here. So if you feel funky beforehand, just know that it's that's what this is, and you can do deep inner work to go through and slay your inner demons so that you can make your manifestation time be more productive and fun. Okay, so now I want to talk about Mercury retrograde and how this is relevant to, well, of course, Mercury retrograde is relevant to everybody, but it's especially relevant to Leo placements because it's retrograding over your Leo placements. So it's activating this area of your chart even more strongly. So for those of you who have birthdays between like around August 1st and August 15th, or if you're watching for your rising sign, if you have between 11 and 23 degrees of Leo, we'll even stretch it to say between 9 and 25 degrees, because you can often feel this a couple of degrees off. So if you have any Leo placements between 9 and 25 degrees, or your birthday's in the first couple of weeks of August, then you will most strongly be affected by the Mercury retrograde, because it will be crossing over your placement. Okay, so that activates this kind of retrospective, looking at things from the standpoint of the past as to how you got into this current situation, what you could have done differently, what you can do differently in the future, and sort of getting your plan together. So for you, this connection with the past will likely be even much more strong, but it's very much activating the energy of Leo. Like I said, you've got the Sun, Mercury, the transiting North Node are all in the sign of Leo, so that those have their own effects. You know, this is just a time where very much all of your Leo planets are being put on fire. You know, and sometimes that's challenging, but for the most of the part, it's like, you know, really productive and helpful. So the North Node in Leo, so you folks that are July born Leos, or if you're watching for your rising sign and you're within like the first 10 degrees or so, you've had the North Node hitting into your placement by a close degree, whatever your Leo placements are. And the North Node is the place either in the transit chart or your natal chart that shows your highest expression in this lifetime. So the North Node in transit tells us about what you have to do to help activate your personal North Node, which may or may not be in Leo. You might have a different North Node placement, but the transiting North Node shows you where to focus so that you can activate your highest potential in this lifetime. Okay, so there's going to be a story for everybody about creativity and leadership and fun and romance and children. But this is going to be a force for pulling you on track, especially for you July born Leo. So if you're born in July and you're Leo and you've been going through in very recent times this major change in perception, change in perspective, really like living the way you've been wanting to live, or making decisions that are really putting you closer to the things that you want and making good choices to take care of yourself, then you're really feeling this North Node. If you haven't been aware of this, then it's here for you to utilize at any point. So if you really want to get your highest expression path on track and feeling like you're on track, you have a lot of help at this time. All Leos have this, but it's more accentuated for you July born people. Okay, so another thing that makes this all about Leo is that the solar eclipse, this third eclipse in the series, is at 18 degrees of Leo. So again, just a recap of the eclipses. We have 3 this cycle. 2 are in July, 1 is in August. I talk about the early July eclipse and the manifestations for Leo in my June report. And then in my July report, I talked about the Aquarius lunar eclipse, how that manifests for Leo. And now we're going to talk about this August 11th solar eclipse in Leo and the potentials that you have for this eclipse. So I definitely recommend you go back and listen to the other ones as well, because even though we're in August now, the July eclipses can still be holding a lot of weight, and a lot of manifestation sometimes happens after the actual eclipse. And since the second eclipse is so close to August anyway, you know, there's a very fair chance for a majority of this eclipse expression to actually express in August, and even after that could be possible. So when you have an eclipse cycle in your sign, you've been hearing me talk about this if you've been watching my videos, because we've had this eclipse cycle since the beginning of 2017. It's very carefully activating and changing and restructuring everything about your being. But there's a specific tilt towards this me versus we, like you and you in relationship, codependency, dysfunctional relationships, people weighing you down, you know, how you are independently and how you are in relationship is what's very much getting restructured. And so we see another chapter of this occurring now. And this chapter is very much in favor of closing old ways within relationship with others and opening new ways to have new independence and self-sufficiency while still being part of partnerships and relationships. You know, so making decisions that help to favor you and take care of you within your relationships. In many cases, if you were involved in codependent relationships where you were giving yourself away at a great sacrifice and it wasn't really working out for you or even the other person, in many cases, you're seeing the importance of this restructuring. So there's that story going on. There's also the story of your creativity versus what's for, like, the greater good. So what lights you up, what's good for everybody else. You know, you individually, you in a group. And in some cases, this could turn out to be you getting clear about how you're going to lead within a group. You know, you might have been in the arenas where you were part of a group and now you're stepping more into the leadership possibilities of leading a group, being a leader within the group, not just a member of the group. So those are themes that are coming up. Now, so let's talk about where this eclipse is going to manifest. If you are an early, and some of you middle degree placements, so in the first part, you know, at least 10 degrees or 10 days of the birth sign, and then a little bit further, we'll say close to the first half of the sign, you'll probably be experiencing this in the first house. You guys in the middle always seem to, it can go either way, you know, just because of how the charts look. But the rest of the middle and late degree placements will experience this eclipse in the 12th house. The reason why it's important to mention this is because if you have a late degree chart, your chart's going to look different than an early degree chart, because in order to see what the picture is for your particular placement, you have to put that degree on the ascendant when you're running this chart. So a 0 degree placement will have all the planets in a certain place, but then if you click, 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 shift it, if, you know, however many degrees, it's going to shift the placements, and it's going to shift where events like eclipses take place. Okay, so that's why we have to differentiate between them. So early and some middle degree placements, so the first 10 to 15 degrees of the sign, if you're watching for your rising sign, or the first couple of weeks for the birthdays, you will have this eclipse occur in your first house. Your first house has to do with you. So you can see this theme is occurring. I told you it's all about Leo. This month and this time is just really all about Leo. So it's about you. It's about your creative potential. It's about how you put yourself out into the world. It's about how you look, about how you feel, about how other people see you. Many people will experience a massive amount of recognition at this time and people looking at them. In some cases, it can bring drama, like people are looking at you because there's some sort of dramatic situation going on that maybe could be even unfavorable, but the potential is there for this to be really supportive and for the good parts of you to be seen, you know? So you can also help this along by putting your best foot forward. And whatever foot you lead with, that's going to kind of be part of how the rest of this manifests, you know? So the more you can do to put the right foot forward, the more this eclipse energy can bring you in a favorable light into like the eyes of everybody. So this can also have to do with your physical body, or a health issue could come to culmination. It could be a health issue you're aware of that just comes to a head, or it could be something you're not aware of that gets brought up and brought into the light. Or it could be that you have a breakthrough with something that you have been working on, so that you've been trying to heal, or you've been trying to find the perfect diet, or you've been trying to lose weight, or you've been trying to gain weight, or you've been trying to do something with your physical body. That could reach a major manifestation at this point. Definitely always recommend that if you have symptoms that are strange, that you get them checked out, but especially when we have eclipses that take place in this sector of the chart, you definitely don't want to ignore any signs that seem weird. Like if people around you are saying, hey, you better get that checked out, then it'd probably be a good idea to do that, because you could head off a potential issue. You know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay, so for the rest of you middle degree placements and late degree placements, so the ones later in the sign and later in degree, you're going to have this happen in the 12th house. The 12th house eclipse can bring in dramatic spiritual breakthroughs, awarenesses of how your lineage and your ancestry has been affecting you. It's very fascinating to look at the astrology of genealogical lines. I mean, I'm always just in awe of like looking at a person, looking at their child, looking at their parent, looking, you know, at how these stories over time are moving along a continuum, and that each person that comes picks up these pieces of consciousness to work with them. So what we're holding right now in our blood is this potential to take all of the challenging things from our ancestry and bring it to the light, and take all the good things from our ancestry and bring it even to more light. You know, so this area of the chart also rules past life. It rules current, earlier life, like childhood, things that happened that have imprinted you in a way that they're affecting your current standing and your current experience. Mastering your mind is the goal of any placements in the 12th house, you know, because it's like we talked about before with the birthday thing, with the 12th house being accentuated before your birthday. It's like we have unruly minds, and so we have unruly lives, because our inside is a hologram for what's outside. Just like in a little drop of blood, there's DNA that shows the hologram for the person. We have within our mind this hologram for our whole lives, and we're constantly feeding and creating from it, whether we're aware of it or not. So the more you can get in touch with that, this eclipse can help. The addictions, the gifts, you know, this is like the attic where you can find riches and resources, and also things that are really gross that you don't want to deal with, but when you deal with them, then you feel so much better. Like, kind of like when you clean behind a refrigerator, like pull it out and clean under and behind it. You can't see how gross it is from it being in there, but you know it is. And you know you can feel it. But when you clean it, even though you can't see it clean, it affects you. And that's how this is. It's like a subconscious mind scrub time. And that's what this eclipse is giving you the opportunity to do. So it could bring mental issues up into the forefront to be dealt with. It could bring events, either, like I said, through breakthrough or awareness, or major dream activity, lucid dreaming, awarenesses in dreams, learning in dreams, teaching people in dreams. You could be showing up in other people's dreams. You know, the dream space, the space where people have crossed on, the space between dead and alive and awake and asleep, like that whole space is very much activated at this time, especially with this eclipse. So those are the things that are most on my mind for Leo this month. Now I want to talk in detail about these annoying squares and the dates to look out for with them, because you'll definitely notice them. These wonderful trines, this amazing water trine and this grand earth trine, and why they're so magical, and the dates and degrees that you can look for those manifestations, plus spiritual principles you can hold in your heart as we navigate through the rest of these retrogrades, and how you can use these potentials for major maximum manifestation. So I'm going to go into all that now. So the theme of the month for August 2018 for all signs is magical alignments and abundant blessings. And that is for a bunch of different reasons. We have so many things going on now culminating into these magical potentials. So we've got Mars retrograde, and then going direct around between the 26th and 28th of August. We have Mercury retrograde, and that was starting July 26th, running through August 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. That's going to be on August 11th. We've got 2 outer planet trines, so there's magical things going on there. So we have a full moon in Pisces at 3 degrees on August 26th. So these are a lot of things that are going on. So I want to just give you a little recap of how to use these energies well, and hit a couple of dates to note. Also note that the information that I'm giving you, if you are better with written and looking at things visually, you can get a written version of what I'm describing, plus more details about the general transits and aspects for August and every month when you sign up for my free newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com, you'll get a resend of all the newsletters I've sent for recent times, so you can catch up with what's going on. And then, of course, I always send these out a month early so you have them for your planning purposes, so you know the good days, the dicey days, and things like that to make your plans. So the eclipses and the retrogrades are both increasing the odds that things worked of, dreamed of, and planned on in the past will come to fruition now. This is a major time of continued manifestation. The retrogrades are not good for certain things, which you can check out on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and also check out on my YouTube channel. If you put in Annie Botticelli YouTube, I have lots of videos about Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, on the things to avoid during these transits. But there are a lot of things that these retrogrades are really amazing for. And one of them is to let things come to you, is to be the spider. It's like you've woven your web, and maybe you're also weaving a web for future catches in the future, but it's in the backdrop. But you're just letting things come in. You're relaxing, you're stressing the best way you can, you're not forcing things, you can be comfortably productive, but it's more about being the spider and letting your food come to you. Another theme of this month is taking a break from the norm in big and small ways. Even something as simple as driving down a different street to go to work builds new neuronal pathways in your brain. And not only is that good for the longevity of your mental capacities, it's also, when you light up new neuronal pathways in your brain, it activates new energy in your field to bring in new things to you, to break out of old, a matrix, an old matrix. So you can do things different in a small way, or you could do things different in a big way. There's an example that I want to give you about this artist that I know, who is very detailed in his painting, but he was stuck. He wasn't getting paid for his creative work, and sometimes it would take him years to complete a painting. Of course, if you see the painting, it would be like, wow, you can't even believe that somebody could create that, especially with a small paintbrush. But he was stuck. And so during this cycle of the retrograde, he started watching Bob Ross. I don't know if you know Bob Ross, the epic Bob Ross with his epic hair, but you can look him up on YouTube. He basically teaches you how to paint landscapes, and you can watch him paint this amazing landscape picture in like 20 minutes. It's crazy. So he started watching Bob Ross and then started applying this very fast using of the artistic skills to get in and get out and finish things. And because of that, things unlocked for him, and he's had this whole new opportunity for being paid for his artistic work, when before he was stuck in the same old way. But that's how you can that's an example of how you can use these retrograde energies to just break from the norm, to open yourself up for more opportunities now from the eclipses and other things, and also in the future. So definitely check out my Mars retrograde blog and video. Definitely check out my Mercury retrograde video. But do know that this month we are carrying those energies, but both of those planets are going direct. So I gave you those dates earlier. If you're traveling now or ever, and you are interested in seeing what the astrology for your travel time is, things to look out for, things to be aware of, you can check out my website, Astrology Kiss Travel Bliss. And I do monthly travel astrology reports on there. Okay, so this long series of retrogrades that we've had for months could be wearing on you, and your patience could be running thin. This, plus this notable amount of squares, so I'm calling it minor annoyances with these squares, but major blessings because of these, the solar eclipse and the outer planets coming together in beautiful configuration. But just know that you're going to have a little bit of an open boosting time. So even though the personal planets being retrograde are not going to end this long sequence until like December, at the end of August, beginning of September, you'll have a little bit of a break from the deep retrograde energies, okay? So if certain things have to bubble up, effervescence, just bubbling up, you might notice some momentum and some things starting to pick up at that point. In general, issues with anger at present or past situations can come up strongly, so the more you can not act from a charged space, the more you can prevent yourself karmic repercussions. And also adopting the spiritual recognition of divine timing over your own timing is a major theme that the astrology of this month wants you to bring into your forefront. Everything is happening just as it's supposed to, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to hit a couple of highlights of dates to watch. August 1st, we've got a square. Tension can create breakthroughs here, but any way you can break free from something, just try to do it with care and not with anger. August 6th, we have another square, the Sun and Jupiter. So you can feel very proud and capable with this transit, but depending on how you bring that feeling out to the world, maybe it won't be well received. So just kind of watch it, try to tend to not overdo on any level, including spending, food and drink and substances and things like that. On August 7th, we have Uranus going retrograde. That starts at 2 degrees of Taurus and it goes retrograde back to 28 degrees of Aries. So anybody who has placements there, It won't go direct until January 6, 2019. So this is where the planet of change and freedom switches to do deeper work on your inner space. Okay, so either to catch up with changes that have already occurred in the outer realms or to prepare you for future changes that are coming in the outer realms. Also on August 7th, we have a beautiful trine with Venus and Mars. So this is a great little boost here in the midst of some of the annoying aspects. We've got on August 8th, Venus opposing Chiron. So it's very likely to bring up some challenges involving love and money, and feeling like your self-esteem is off or feeling like a victim is more likely at this time. But of course, it always gives us opportunities to have breakthroughs as well. August 8th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury in Leo, so you can have your creativity ignited. It can fuel romance, it can increase fun, it can also increase ego flares and battles, so just tread lightly on charged topics. August 9th, we've got we have Venus square Saturn. I don't know where July just came from. Anyway, so Venus square Saturn. Whenever Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money, comes together with Saturn, just sort of this hard-nosed, you know, challenge bringer, especially in that type of configuration, it can bring money or relationship issues. So, you know, the need for you to deal with them is going to be higher, but your inclination to avoid them is also going to be high. We've got another square on August 10th between the 10th and the 11th of Mercury and Jupiter. Whenever we have squares with Jupiter, Jupiter is a benevolent outer planet. So even the challenging aspects with Jupiter can be softer than squares with other planets. So it can bring a lot of optimism, but again, with that, like a tendency to overdo, like I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself, and then now I just burn myself out or something like that. So just kind of be aware of what you're committing to. August 11th, we've got a solar eclipse, new moon at almost 19 degrees of Leo. So this is time to make your 10 new moon wishes on the topics of Leo. So anything with children, creativity, romance, fun, hobbies, addictions, leadership, acting, anything else that puts all eyes on you. So new opportunities and major new chapters can come in from that eclipse. August 19th, we have this official trine between Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So again, this started at the end of December. There's some story that started at the end of 2017. It got strong again at the end of May, beginning of June. And then this is the final connection. So if you have any, especially water placements close to 15 degrees, but really anything that would aspect the 15 degrees there is going to more closely affect you. And you'll feel that trine for quite a while, you know, a while before the 19th and a while after the 19th. August 25th, we have a grand Earth trine with the Sun in Virgo, Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus, and those are at 2 degrees. So if you have any planets at 2 degrees, especially, you know, something that causes an astrological aspect with Earth in those signs, there's going to be more effects for you. August 14th through September 13th, we will very likely feel this beautiful effect. So launches and important things can be great, even though we're kind of still doing a lot of retrograde energy. If you have to push in something at the end of August, beginning of September, you can ride the coattails of this trine while getting, you know, Mars will be direct as of between the 26th and 28th. Mercury is already direct, so you'll have more momentum here and you might see some really beautiful things happen. August 27th, Mars is direct at 28 degrees of Capricorn. That post-shadow period stretches until October 10th, so it won't regain full oomph until then. But momentum and drive and ambition will definitely, for those of you where it was waning, it will very likely start to return, sometimes to the day. It'll be a little sleepy, but you'll feel something different, like something's waking up. So on August 27th or 28th, depending on your time zone, Mercury will square Jupiter again. We had that square earlier that I mentioned, but because Mercury was in retrograde, then it did it in retrograde, then when it went direct, it did it again. So just be careful of overcommitting. And if you can promise or commit to only a fraction of what you feel like you can do, then you'll be happier, because as time moves on from this moment, your optimism or the reality may set in. And if you commit to something from that high space, then it's going to be hard for you to pull it through. Okay, So these are the things that are most on my mind for the transits in August. Definitely, if you'd love to learn astrology, check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for my astrology education options. If you'd like to be a coach as your profession, I would love to help you, teaching you my 6-step formula to getting results. I'm really good at setting and reaching goals, and I'd love to teach people how to do that for themselves and for other people too. If you'd like to bring your business online and have geographical freedom, you may be interested in my Creating Successful Online Business course, which you can also see at anniehelpsyou.com. Remember that if you would like a written horoscope from me, often with different things than I talk about in the video, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, you will see blogs featured from people, up-and-coming bloggers, also from myself, and my horoscopes are featured there. But there are a lot of different lifestyle blogs there that I think you will enjoy. So check that out. Go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com, to learn tarot. Also, he does astrology readings, tarot readings, and other cool things you can see on his site. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.